Welcome in, everybody. There's more midweek MLS action coming up this week with a full slate of games on Wednesday. Now, the biggest news from the weekend, and the last time we saw MLS in action, saw Cincinnati locking up the Supporters' Shield after going to Toronto and winning 3-2. That trophy looks to be getting presented on Wednesday, which sometimes isn't always good news for the home team when we see trophies presented in other sports, so we'll see how that goes. And while they can still clinch the all-time record for regular season points, they might also decide to rest some guys getting ready for the playoffs. So with that uncertainty, we will skip that game in the picks this week. Now, St. Louis also clinched top spot in the West, which is huge as an expansion team. Now, we do have 5 other games, though. I'm going to be betting as 2 different parlays for Week 36 on Wednesday. And before I get into them, please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for more MLS and other soccer picks all year long. Getting into this first parlay, and all 4 teams have something in common as they in this 2-game parlay, and that is all 4 are fighting for the top 4 spot in the East, and they're all neck and neck with each other right now. New England leads this pack of this 4 teams, and they're in 3rd with 52 points. They're followed by Philadelphia, 4th with 51 points, Columbus in 5th with 50 points, and Atlanta in 6th with 49 points. Of course, the 2 games I'm talking about are New England hosting Columbus and Philly hosting Atlanta. Let's start with New England and Columbus. New England had been slumping, going winless in 4 games, but they broke that streak by beating Charlotte 2-1 on the weekend. Now, all 5 of their past games have cash bets on both teams to score, and 4 of 5 have seen both teams to score and over 2.5 as well. Now, at home, New England still remains the only undefeated team this season at 11-4-0, so betting against them at home on Wednesday may not be the play. Plus, New England has scored in all 15 of those home MLS games this season as well. But Columbus scores in nearly every game themselves, and they usually concede as well. That trend continued on the weekend in a 1-1 draw with Philadelphia. They've now conceded a goal in 28 of 37 games across all competitions, and they've also scored a goal in 34 of 37 in all competitions in 2023. Bets on both teams to score have gone 25-12 in their games. Their last 2 games have been 1-1 draws as well. Columbus are tied for the most goals in MLS, and they have the highest XG. These teams played to a 1-1 draw in Columbus earlier this season. Now, the game prior to that last season was 0-0, but that was the only one in the past 5 that didn't see both teams to score. Also, all 5 of the last head-to-heads between these teams have all ended in draws. We're going to go both teams to score here in this game, and we are going to then tie that into a result with Philadelphia and Atlanta. Atlanta won 2-0 at home back in July. When they last played. Philadelphia is undefeated versus Atlanta in Philly, though, in their past 4 meetings, and Philadelphia at home in general is dominant. They're 9-5-1 this season in MLS, scoring 30 and allowing just 11. Now, 3 of those 5 home draws have come in their past 3 home games, which are included in a run. It's actually seen them tie 5 games in a row for Philadelphia. Now, that's rare, but they've been consistently seeing both teams to score bets cashing as well, with 4 of those 5 draws seeing goals from both teams. Only the MLS Cup final rematch with LAFC was 0-0. In all competitions, Philadelphia has seen also hit 13 of their past 16, both teams to score bets. Now, until that changes, I feel I have to keep running this stat out as it continues. In all competitions, Philadelphia has just 2 home losses in 44 games. Now, 1 came to Miami in the Leagues Cup, and only 1 has been in MLS in that time as well. Atlanta have only 1 loss in MLS since the Leagues Cup at 4-2-1. They're coming off a 4-1 home win over Montreal, and they've now scored 10 goals in their past 3 games. Now, 9 of those did come in 2 home games, but still, home or away in any competition, Atlanta has failed to score only once in 13 games, and that was away to Miami in the Leagues Cup. Atlanta are the league's 3rd highest scorers, and they have the 9th best XG. Now, similar to the first game, I can't bet against Philly's streak at home right now, but Atlanta are also in great form, and they need to push to get into that top 4 spot. So let's bet on at least a goal coming from both teams here. So I will also go both teams to score between Philly and Atlanta, and do both teams to score with New England and Columbus, and that will come in at plus 120 odds. Moving into the second parlay, I'm going to Seattle and the Galaxy out west. The Sounders are quietly in 3rd in the West, probably the most quiet 3rd place team I could think of, as they don't seem like they've really been playing that well all season, but they do still find themselves in 3rd. But they are also undefeated now in their past 6. That has them in a spot where they can earn home field in the playoffs. Their last game was a 0-0 draw in Nashville, and while that extends their undefeated streak, they're just 2-4-6 in that time, so it's 4 draws and 2 wins. The Nashville game was the first clean sheet they've kept after conceding in 11 straight games prior to that. Both teams to score bets also have cashed in 5 of the past 6 for Seattle. Now, LA are way down in 13th place, so way below Seattle in the standings, and they're 6 points out of the playoffs. Time looks to be running out on them, and after they just put themselves in too big of a hole to start this season. But it's not been for a lack of trying, at least recently. Over the past 10 rounds, and also over the past 15 rounds, they have the 5th most points in the West. In fact, since Leagues Cup, they have just 1 loss in 8 games. They also have only 2 losses in their past 16 games in MLS. But this is the most important trend that I'm looking at when it comes to this bet, and it's the fact that all of their games of late have been complete shootouts. A 3-3 draw, a 3-3 draw, a 4-3 win, a 4-2 loss, and another 2-2 draw. Now, in fact, it's the first time in MLS history a team has seen both teams score 3 or more goals in 3 straight games. Now, prior to that run of games, they did have one 0-0 draw. But before that one game, they also saw 9 of 10 games have at least 3 goals scored one way or another. So it's been a long streak of goals coming all over the place in Galaxy games. This will be the 3rd meeting this season with Seattle. Seattle won in LA 2-1 in MLS, and then LA won in LA 3-1 in the US Open Cup. That extends a run of 4 in a row that have seen both teams to score and over 2.5 between these teams. Bets on both teams to score alone has hit in 6 in a row, and also in 10 of 11. Now, Raul Ruiz has usually been a Galaxy killer. He scored 9 goals in 10 games against them, but he looks likely to miss this with an injury. They may not need him anyways, as Seattle hasn't lost to LA in 10 regular season games, and they've only lost 1 of the past 17, with LA not winning in Seattle since way back in 2016. It's the same narrative, though, that I've been riding with LA for a while now, and that is that they are desperate and they need to attack, and they do have the players capable of scoring, but they just don't have a very good defense, and that keeps resulting in the same result, and that is goals. So we'll go both teams to score with Seattle and LA. Next up, Dallas and Colorado. The Rapids have been better of late for the 28th ranked team. That's all relative. They're 2-1-2 in their past 5, but still have only 5 wins on the whole season. And those 2 wins and a draw in their recent games did all come at home. On the road this season, they're 2-3-10, and they've been outscored 32-11. Now, that includes their current 10-game road losing streak across all competitions, where they've been outscored 29-6 and actually shut out in 6 of those 10 games. Dallas's playoff spot is still undecided, as they currently hold the final spot 9th in the West, but only by 3 points. They have 41 points, and both SKC and Minnesota have 38. With 35 goals, Dallas are one of the lower scoring teams in the playoffs right now. And in fact, many teams that are currently out of the playoffs have even scored more goals than Dallas. Now, that said, their 0-0 draw in Houston last game was rare. They had scored in 13 straight games in either MLS or Leagues Cup prior to that game. Still, a draw against a rival, and in Houston, where the Dynamo have been nearly unbeatable, is a good result, and it does extend their current undefeated streak to 6 games, where they are 1-5-0, so it's not a lot of wins, just 1, but they haven't lost in 6. Now, both teams to score has also hit in each of the past 6 in MLS in all competitions. Dallas have been good for at least 1 home goal in 16 of 17 games, and that's where they'll be playing here. Now, the Rapids, they did beat Dallas 2-1 earlier this season in Colorado, and also 1-0 in Colorado last year. But when the teams are playing in Dallas is undefeated at home versus Colorado in the past 8. Win, lose, or draw, I'm backing Dallas to at least get on the score sheet here, so we'll go Dallas to score. And the final game in this 3-game parlay will come with the Vancouver and St. Louis game. This looked like a very good both teams to score bet for me when I looked ahead in the schedule last week. My problem, though, now is that St. Louis has clinched the top spot in the West. They really don't have much to play for. It's tough to know what kind of lineup Bradley Carnell is going to put out there. João Klaus missed much of the season with an injury, so it's likely he'll get shut down at some point or rested, as well as some other players. Whether that happens on Wednesday, I'm not sure. St. Louis are off 4-1 and 2-1 wins, but that 2-1 win in Minnesota is their only road win in 8 games. Both teams to score has hit in each of their past 5 road games as well. Vancouver are all but playoff bound, but it's still not confirmed, so they do need this game. They also still have a chance at home field, being right there in 6th spot right now in the West. The Caps have faded a bit of late to end their 7-game road trip. They ended it at 0-1-2, and then they drew at home 2-2 to DC on the weekend, so they're now winless in their past 4 games. But since Leagues Cup, they are an even 3-3-3. That's not terrible. It's not great, but it's treading water. It's kept them in the playoffs. Nor is the fact that they've scored in 8 straight games and in 14 of 15 in all competitions. So, some decent stats there. Not winning, not losing, scoring, though, in most games. They've also conceded in 21, though, of 22 in all competitions. Their last 6 score lines for Vancouver have been 2-2, 2-2, 2-1, 4-1, 2-1, and 1-1, which is why if St. Louis needed this game at all, I'd be going both teams to score or over 1.5 or both teams to score and over 2.5 in a combination bet. It was 3-1 St. Louis in St. Louis earlier this year. That could be a similar result here. Maybe Vancouver gets the win. But the uncertainty with St. Louis not needing this game anymore simply leads me to take Vancouver to score. And if you were looking for a player prop, it would have to be Brian White to score right now. He's the hottest Whitecap. He scored in 3 straight games and also in 6 of 8. He leads the team on the season with 14 goals. Though with 11 goals of his own, Ryan Gold will certainly be in consideration as well for a scoring prop. So let's go Vancouver to score. So that's Vancouver to score, Dallas to score, and Seattle and LA. Both teams to score, coming in at plus 117. Okay, guys, those are my MLS Week 36 picks for midweek action. Let me know what you're betting in the comments, and best of luck with all of your MLS picks this week.